You didn't land here by accident. Something deeper pulled you. And before you even knew what this video contained, before your eyes caught the title or your finger touched the screen, your consciousness was already reaching for this moment. Because in the silence of your being, a question was asked. And this video, this exact vibration, this precise message, is the answer you didn't know you were already living. Neville Goddard once said, "Consciousness is the only reality. Not the screen you're watching, not the voice speaking, not even the events of your day. What brought you here is not a YouTube algorithm. It's the hidden assumption you made in some quiet second when no one was looking. Maybe it was last night when you whispered to the sky, 'Show me something, just a little sign.' Or maybe it was years ago, when you planted the seed of a life you still don't fully believe you're allowed to live. But the seed never forgot. It waited. It grew under the soil of your doubts. And today, in this very instant, it broke through." Dr. Joe Vitale echoes the same truth. What you perceive is always a match to what you've invited, even if the invitation was silent, unconscious, or buried under skepticism. This video is not separate from you. It's not random. It's a mirror. The very fact that these words are touching your awareness means something within you has shifted. Not because this video will change your life, but because the part of you that already changed brought this video into view. And yes, there's a part of you, maybe small, maybe hesitant, that's been craving permission, craving a cosmic yes. The reassurance that you're not foolish for still believing, that you're not lost for still searching, that you're not broken because it hasn't shown up yet. And so the universe, which is not outside you but made of you, used this moment to whisper, "Yes, this is your sign, this is your reflection, this is your echo, answering you from the other side of the veil." Still, something in you may resist. Part of the mind might say, "But how can I trust this? I need more proof. I've believed before, and still nothing changed." And that's exactly where the old reality hides, in the belief that proof must come before faith, that seeing is believing. But what if you've had it backwards all along? What if belief is the proof? What if the moment you stop demanding evidence and begin embodying your answer, the world has no choice but to comply? Imagine for a moment that your future self wrote a letter, not with ink, but with intention, a message folded and sealed, tucked into the folds of time. And today, you opened it, not with your hands, but with your readiness. This video is not teaching you something new. It's reminding you of something ancient, something always known, that reality bends to your inner state, that you are not waiting for permission, that you are not hoping for a miracle. You are the miracle, remembering itself. And so, feel this, not just the words. Feel the weightlessness in your chest, the subtle opening behind your eyes, the sacred knowing that you are not here by chance. The answer is already unfolding. It's not coming. It's already come. And it arrived. Through you. The click you made was not an accident. It was a reflection. There's a subtle power in the moment your finger moved toward this video. You might think it was just curiosity, or boredom, or a passing interest. But nothing truly aligned with your consciousness is ever random. What looks like a decision on the outside is often a revelation on the inside, the surfacing of a shift that had already occurred within you. You didn't click to receive something new. You clicked because something in you was already changing. This moment isn't a beginning. It's a result. Many still believe that manifestation is something earned, something you work for, strain toward, hustle into being. But Neville made it clear, you do not move the world with effort. You move through states of being. The only thing that ever shifts outcomes is the consciousness you occupy. The version of you that pressed play is not the same version who was asleep to these truths yesterday. The act of watching this is not the cause of your shift. It is the evidence that the shift has already occurred. That's why it's time to stop asking, when will it show up? The better question is, who have I already become for this to show up now? Your higher self has no sense of time as you know it. It doesn't count hours, it feels frequencies. And when your frequency enters a new dimension, the dimension of assumption, certainty, inner knowing, the external begins to reflect what was already true internally. So instead of chasing outcomes, recognize this. What led you here is not effort, it's alignment. Feel that for a moment. Let it settle in your body. The click you made was not small. It was sacred. It was a signal back to your consciousness saying, yes, I'm ready to live this now. Not someday. Not if everything aligns. Now. Because when you start seeing your own choices as evidence of your transformation, you no longer wait for signs. You realize you are the sign. What you see confirms what you feel, not what you want. There's a moment in every seeker's journey when they begin to notice a strange contradiction. They want abundance but still feel lack. They affirm love but still sense distance. They visualize freedom but still experience limitation. And they wonder, why doesn't it work? The truth is, your reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you already accept as emotionally true. The world outside doesn't mirror desire. It mirrors identity. Wanting, by itself, carries the vibration of absence. It says, this is not mine yet. And the universe, being precise, reflects that assumption perfectly. So if your heart is still tuned to waiting, your life will continue to echo that delay. This is not punishment. It's precision, and it's profoundly liberating, because it means you can stop trying to convince the world to give you what you seek. You only need to tune your internal instrument to the frequency of already mine. Then the reflection changes. This is the principle behind the Pygmalion effect, the psychological truth that reality adjusts itself to match the expectations held about it. When you assume the role of someone who is still chasing, still hoping, still wondering if it's working, your life conforms to that script. But when you shift internally, when you begin to respond to life as someone who already is, already has, already knows, the world begins to reorganize around you in ways you didn't expect. So ask yourself, not with judgment, but with clarity, how did you feel the moment this video appeared? Was there a sense of relief, recognition, a subtle resonance in your chest that whispered, finally, something matches me? That emotion is your compass, not because it's proof from the outside, but because it reveals where you're vibrating from. And when you become honest about your emotional resonance, and not your affirmations, not your vision board, but your actual inner tone, you reclaim your power. Reality is not showing you what's missing. It's showing you what you believe is normal. And the most beautiful part? You can change your baseline of normality by feeling differently first, not after the evidence, before it. Because your external life is not a prediction, it's a reflection. And today it just showed you where you really are. Your desire is already answered, but are you the version that can receive it? Desire doesn't appear by accident. It is not a random craving or a fleeting thought. It is a signal, not of something you lack, but of something that already belongs to you in another state of being. The fact that you felt the desire is proof that the potential exists. The question is not, will it happen? The real question is, are you being the version of yourself who allows it? This is where so many remain trapped, in what could be called identity lag. The desire enters their consciousness like a spark. It ignites possibility, inspires dreams, expands vision. But instead of evolving into the version of themselves that can live it, they stay attached to the self-image formed by old limitations. And no matter how powerful the desire is, if the identity hasn't shifted, the manifestation remains out of reach, not because it doesn't exist, but because the self hasn't matched its frequency. Neville's teachings were clear. What you desire is not somewhere else waiting to arrive. It is a dimension already alive within you, accessed not through striving, but through assumption. The assumption that says, this is who I am now, not later, not after proof, now. And in that assumption, the old self begins to dissolve. The version of you that doubted, waited, hesitated, fades like a dream you've finally woken up from. So feel this gently but clearly. If what you want already exists as a possibility, and it does, then it's not waiting to manifest. It's waiting for you to become the version of you who simply sees it as normal, not as a miracle, not as a wish, but as the natural consequence of who you've already become. This is why people sometimes receive what they've wanted only to lose it, because the outer result arrived faster than their inner shift. The house arrived, but not the self-image of someone who feels at home. The love arrived, but not the worthiness to sustain it. There is no need to force a transformation. The path is not pressure, it is presence. Begin with a micro shift, a single vivid moment, where you imagine yourself as already living the life you crave. Feel it in your breath, your posture, your tone. Let it be subtle. Let it be true. Because once that version of you becomes emotionally familiar, the world will start treating you accordingly. Not because it changed, but because you did. Before we move forward, pause for just a moment. If something in you has already begun to shift, if the words so far feel like more than words, like a mirror held up to your own knowing, then what's waiting in the pinned comment might speak to that part of you even more clearly. It's not an interruption. It's an extension of this moment, a reflection of the version of you that's already choosing to remember. When you're ready, return here. We're just getting to the part where everything begins to feel real. Manifestation begins the moment you stop looking for signs. The hunger for signs often arises from a deeper fear, the fear that nothing is really working, that perhaps you've been doing everything right on the outside, while still feeling lost on the inside. And so the mind looks outward again and again, hoping for confirmation, a number on a clock, a phrase in a book, a glimpse of synchronicity, something, anything, to say, yes, you're on the right path. But what if the very act of searching is the energy that delays the becoming? Neville taught that creation is not something you wait for. It is something you enter through feeling, not by seeking, but by settling, not by scanning the world for signs, but by embodying the assumption that it is already done. He didn't say, wish until it feels real. He said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That subtle shift, from waiting to being, is everything. The quantum field is not just theoretical. It is alive with potentials, all of them responding to your observation. And when you observe reality through the lens of, it's not here yet, you collapse it into continued absence. The very act of constantly checking, constantly doubting, is a form of energetic interference. It keeps the state of desire unresolved, always in motion, never at rest. And the universe responds to that unrest. But when you stop seeking signs, something extraordinary happens. You shift from the vibration of wanting into the vibration of knowing. You no longer beg the world to show you evidence. You become the evidence. You no longer search for magic. You remember that your assumption is the magic. So instead of scanning for proof, begin to inhabit the quiet certainty that what you desire is already underway. Feel what it feels like to no longer wonder. Feel what it feels like to no longer need reassurance. Feel what it feels like to simply walk in the vibration of completion, not because you've seen the result, but because your inner state no longer needs to be convinced. That is when creation accelerates. That is when reality begins to catch up with your consciousness. Because manifestation doesn't begin when the sign appears. It begins when you no longer need one. This video is a key, not the door. There's a subtle trap in the way we interact with spiritual content. We begin to treat the message as the miracle itself, the video as the source of transformation, the teacher as the cause of awakening. But the truth is more mysterious and more empowering. No message has ever changed your life. What changes your life is the state you enter into when you receive it. This video is not the door, it is the key. The door was already inside you, waiting. The question is not, will this video unlock something for me? The real question is, what part of me has already opened to let this in? You found this not because the video is special, but because you are beginning to expect moments like this. You are beginning to feel worthy of alignment. You are beginning to trust that life speaks back when you speak first. It's easy to confuse the external event with the internal cause, but Neville was always clear. The world is a mirror, not a machine. It doesn't give to you randomly. It reflects back what you silently accept. If you believe that power lives outside of you, you'll continue to chase it in books, in teachers, in techniques. But if you believe that this moment is your own consciousness calling itself forward, then every insight becomes a mirror, not of something you must chase, but of someone you already are. So pause, even just for a breath, and ask yourself, who is the version of you that expects things like this to appear? The version who no longer waits for signs, because alignment is your normal. The version who watches a video like this and doesn't doubt it, because synchronicity is no longer surprising. It's expected. It's familiar. It's home. You didn't stumble into this moment. You met it at the exact intersection of readiness and recognition. That is how consciousness works. It doesn't hand you doors, it hands you keys, and you are the one who turns the handle. If you needed proof, here it is. But you were always creating it. There's a quiet kind of relief that washes over you when something finally clicks. It's not loud. It doesn't shout. It arrives more like an exhale, a soft recognition that whispers, "I knew this all along." And in that moment, it's not the content that changes you. It's the sudden realization that you were never off track, just not tuned in. We spend so much time searching for proof, searching for the one message, the one technique, the one breakthrough that will finally give us permission to believe. But belief was never supposed to come from the outside. It was always yours to give yourself. This video didn't create your shift. It reflected it. It didn't bring you clarity. It matched the clarity that was already forming within you. It didn't save you. It reminded you that you were never lost. Neville said, "All things exist in the human imagination. Not some things, all things," which means that even the proof you think you need is something you've already been creating. But because it didn't look the way your mind expected, you missed it. You called it coincidence. You called it luck. Or worse, you dismissed it completely. But what if all along life was answering every question with gentle echoes and you just weren't listening yet? There's no shame in that. Only awakening. Only remembering. Only the sweet return to the truth that you've been manifesting, not just outcomes, but moments like this, where your own consciousness reveals itself to you in perfect timing. So instead of searching for more validation, simply begin to observe. For the next day or 2 or 3, notice what life brings without rushing to interpret it. Let the synchronicities speak without your need to assign meaning. Don't decode, just witness. Because the moment you stop trying to prove it's working, you'll feel the deeper truth. It always was. You were just finally still enough to hear it. The algorithm is your servant, but your assumption is the master. It's easy to credit technology for moments like this, to say the algorithm brought you here, to believe that some external force chose this video for you based on data, preferences, or behavior. But what if the algorithm is not the master? What if it's only the servant, responding not just to clicks and keywords, but to vibrations, to inner states, to the silent declarations of your consciousness? Neville taught that you are not attracting, you are selecting. Every reality you perceive is one you've aligned with through your state of being. And so just like the algorithm reflects your digital past, life reflects your inner assumptions. The question isn't, why did this appear? The question is, what within me made it inevitable? Because once you assume something deeply, the world has no choice but to reorganize in its image. You didn't stumble upon this message by chance. Your consciousness sought a reflection, and this video became the mirror. Not because it holds power over you, but because you've begun to embody the frequency that expects meaningful moments to appear. That trusts in divine alignment more than random coincidence. That no longer separates the spiritual from the digital. Consider this. You didn't find a new key today. You opened a drawer that was always part of your inner house. A drawer labeled, "When I'm ready, this will appear." The appearance of this message doesn't say something new about the world. It says something new about you. It confirms that your assumptions have changed. Your vibration has matured. Your identity is shifting into someone who lives in alignment with intention, even in the realm of algorithms. So the next time something appears and feels too perfect, too precise, too timely, don't call it coincidence. Call it correspondence. Life is not guessing what you want. It's responding to what you've become. And every reflection, no matter how digital or ordinary, is evidence of the consciousness that now leads you. Your emotional resonance dictates your digital destiny too. We tend to compartmentalize our lives. This is spiritual, that is digital. This is inner work, that is just habit. But the truth is, the universe doesn't make those distinctions. Energy flows through everything. Even your online reality is shaped by the frequency you carry, the videos that find you, the content that speaks to you, the timing of a message that seems too precise to be chance. None of it is accidental. It all obeys the silent current of your vibration. You are not just influencing your relationships, your finances, or your health with your emotional state. You're influencing your entire informational field. Every click, every suggestion, every moment of resonance online is a mirror, not of what you're searching for, but of who you're being. And the deeper your alignment, the more accurate those mirrors become, until life, even in its most technological forms, becomes a seamless reflection of your inner transformation. This video appeared because your frequency made space for it. Not because you were desperate for an answer, but because something in you was already answering, already shifting, already knowing. And that resonance called this message into view, just as it will begin to call new opportunities, new relationships, new insights, and new paths that feel startlingly tailored to your journey. But now comes the sacred responsibility to stay aware of what you're feeding your field, not just through words, but through attention, through repetition, through emotional tone. Ask yourself, what are your most common digital habits saying about your self-image? Are they reinforcing the old version of you, the one who doubts and delays? Or are they nourishing the self who expects alignment, who walks with clarity, who no longer needs to prove they're worthy? Your digital world is not separate from your energy field. It is part of the reflection. And the more you bring consciousness to it, the more you'll notice how much life is already responding, not to what you search for, but to what you silently expect to find. The instant you say, "This is for me," reality shifts. There's a sacred power in claiming something, not with ego, not with urgency, but with quiet certainty. The moment you say, not just with your mouth, but with your energy, "This is for me," the entire structure of your reality begins to reorganize. Not because the world suddenly gives you more, but because you've finally aligned with what was already yours. It's easy to believe that manifestation is about getting, but Neville's work reveals something far deeper. Manifestation is about identification. When you identify as someone who already has, already is, already lives the life they once imagined, you collapse the gap between desire and experience. And in that moment, life no longer delays. It responds. This is where many hesitate. They worry that claiming too much is arrogant, that believing in their own worth without evidence is selfish, even dangerous. But that hesitation is a reflection of an old identity, one that was taught to seek permission instead of alignment. The truth is, claiming something is not about ego. It's about coherence. When you say, "This is mine," you are not demanding anything. You are syncing your energy with a reality that already exists. Think of the Galatea effect, the phenomenon where self-perception becomes prophecy. The moment you shift how you see yourself, everything begins to behave differently around you. Opportunities appear. People treat you with more respect. The world reflects your new image not because it's been persuaded, but because it's been updated. So let this moment anchor you. You are not asking for the life you want. You are choosing to identify as someone who naturally lives it. You are not auditioning for your dream reality. You are remembering that it is your natural state, and everything that once felt out of reach is now moving toward you, not as reward, but as reflection. Reality does not resist your desires. It waits for you to claim them, quietly, completely, without question. And when you do, the shift is not gradual, it's immediate, because the instant you say, "This is for me," something ancient inside you responds, "It always was." The real gift isn't the content. It's the shift you just activated, the words you've heard, the insights that echoed, the phrases that stirred something inside you. They're not the treasure, they're the wrapping. The real gift is what happened within you while you were listening. That quiet pause, that subtle tear, that moment where your body softened and your heart whispered, "Yes, this is me." That was the shift. And it didn't come from the outside. It came from the inside, finally given space to rise. So many come to content looking for magic, hoping the right words will unlock their destiny. But no sentence has the power to create your transformation. Only your consciousness does. What matters is not what you watched, but who you became while watching. And who you became is already different from who you were. That is the secret. That is the miracle. That is the real gift. Feel into this moment, right now, not intellectually, emotionally. What's the dominant sensation moving through your body? Is it relief, stillness, an inner fire awakening? Whatever it is, that's the vibration that will begin shaping the next part of your path, because emotions are more than feelings. They are coordinates. They are the signal you send to the field. And right now, your signal has changed. Let it be simple. Let it be subtle. No need to perform, or strive, or prove. Just choose one phrase, one small yet powerful sentence that matches who you've remembered yourself to be in these past minutes. Maybe it's, "I'm already living it." Maybe it's, "I finally believe." Maybe it's something only your soul would recognize. Whatever it is, that phrase becomes your password. Not to enter somewhere new, but to stay where you finally arrived. You don't need more information. You don't need another video. You only need to protect the state you just touched. Nurture it. Return to it. Let it guide your next breath, your next decision, your next morning. Because the true miracle was never in the content. It was always in the shift. And that shift has already begun. You didn't stumble here. You remembered something. There is a sacred rhythm to this moment. A pulse beneath the surface of your awareness that gently says, you are exactly where you need to be. Not by chance, not by accident, but by the deliberate unfolding of your own consciousness. The fact that you are here, listening, reading, breathing this truth, is a reflection of a deeper alignment, a silent agreement between who you have been and who you are becoming. It is not luck or coincidence. It is remembrance. Neville Goddard's teaching, so elegantly simple, reminds us that all that we see, every experience, every circumstance, every moment of joy or struggle, was first imagined. It was born in the quiet sanctuary of the mind before it ever appeared outside. That means this video, this message, this feeling, they are not external events intruding into your life. They are whispers from your own past assumptions, echoes of a reality you once held in your imagination. This moment is the universe reflecting back to you the fidelity of your inner world. It is proof that your mental causation is already at work, silently weaving your desires into form. But there is a deeper truth here, one that often escapes us. Manifestation is not about frantic pursuit or desperate hoping. It is about the willingness to receive, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. Dr. Joe Vitale captures this beautifully when he says, "You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're willing to emotionally receive." There is a delicate shift here. It is not about pushing or pulling, demanding or chasing. It is about opening the channels of your being wide enough to welcome what is already on its way. This openness is an act of faith rooted in inner knowing. It is the surrender that doesn't mean giving up, but means letting go of resistance. Resistance, after all, is a vibration. When you resist, you send signals of doubt, fear, or disbelief to the invisible field. But when you relax into the certainty that what you have imagined is no longer a distant hope, but a near reality, your entire energetic blueprint changes. You become the receiver, not just the seeker. Imagine for a moment that your consciousness is a radio tuner. For years you have been scanning frequencies, sometimes catching faint signals, sometimes static. Today, that tuner finds a clear station, a broadcast from your own highest self that says, "This is your time." This is not just a message, it is a call to embody your creative authority. The life you have envisioned, the dreams you have quietly carried in your heart, are no longer fantasies postponed. They are realities gestating, waiting only for your full acceptance. For the next 3 days, carry this knowing as a sacred secret whispered into the deepest part of your soul. Everything you desire is already on its way. It is unfolding behind the scenes of your awareness, orchestrated by the invisible laws you have chosen to trust. Notice how this changes your daily rhythm, how it softens tension, eases urgency, and brings a gentle clarity to your decisions. Watch how your interactions, your thoughts, and your emotions begin to align with this inner certainty. Remember, manifestation is not about making something happen out there. It is about embodying who you already are on the inside. It is the unfolding of a deep remembering, the remembrance that you are the creator, the dreamer, the architect of your reality. This is why you did not stumble here. You remembered, and remembering is the doorway through which transformation flows effortlessly. Hold this moment close. Let it sink beyond your mind and into your being. Because when you remember who you are, everything changes. The world around you is no longer a place of struggle or lack. It becomes a mirror reflecting the fullness of your creative power. And from that place, life moves not by chance, but by the sacred rhythm of your own unfolding consciousness. Before you go, take a moment to check the pinned comment below. It might open something for you that words alone cannot.